It was a cold and dreary evening when Emma Holloway first arrived at Ravenwood Academy. The prestigious institution was nestled deep in the forests of northern England, an imposing Gothic structure that had been standing for centuries. The sun had long set, casting a haunting shadow over the old building. Emma, a young and curious student with a passion for history and mystery, had been accepted on a scholarship to study ancient folklore. The cab dropped her off at the grand iron gates, which creaked open with a sound that echoed into the night. She pulled her coat tighter around her, feeling an inexplicable chill. As she walked up the gravel path, the academy loomed ahead, its tall spires piercing the dark sky. Lights flickered in the windows, but the place seemed oddly deserted. At the entrance, she was greeted by Mrs. Abernathy, the stern and elderly headmistress, who welcomed her with a tight smile. "Welcome to Ravenwood Academy, Miss Holloway," she said. "I trust your journey was uneventful?" "Yes, thank you," Emma replied, though she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Over the next few days, Emma settled into her new routine. She attended classes, met other students, and explored the vast grounds of the academy. Despite the picturesque surroundings, there was an air of unease among the students and staff. Whispers of strange occurrences and ghostly apparitions filled the hallways. Emma's curiosity got the better of her, and she began researching the history of Ravenwood Academy. She learned that the school was built in the 16th century by Lord Edgar Ravenwood, a wealthy nobleman with a dark past. According to local legend, Lord Ravenwood had dabbled in the occult and conducted bizarre rituals in the academy's basement. It was said that he summoned malevolent spirits that haunted the school to this day. One night, while studying in the library, Emma stumbled upon an old diary hidden behind a row of dusty books. The diary belonged to a former student named Isabella Winters, who had attended the academy in the early 1900s. Isabella's entries described eerie happenings, footsteps in empty corridors, whispers in the dark, and shadowy figures lurking in the corners. Emma's fascination with Isabella's diary grew, and she began to experience strange occurrences herself. It started with small things, her belongings being moved, cold drafts in her room, and a feeling of being watched. She confided in her roommate, Lily, who dismissed her concerns as mere imagination. But one night, everything changed. Emma was awoken by a faint, mournful cry. She sat up in bed, heart pounding, and listened. The sound seemed to come from the hallway. Gathering her courage, she grabbed a flashlight and crept out of her room. The corridors were dark and silent, but the crying persisted, leading her to the old music room at the end of the hall. Inside, the air was frigid. Emma's breath fogged in the beam of her flashlight. She followed the sound to a dusty grand piano, its keys untouched for years. Suddenly, the crying stopped, and the room fell silent. Emma's flashlight flickered, and in the dim light, she saw a figure standing by the window, a girl in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. Emma's scream echoed through the academy, and the figure vanished. Determined to uncover the truth, Emma continued to dig deeper into Ravenwood's dark history. She found records of students who had gone missing over the years, their disappearances never solved. Many believed that the spirits of these lost souls haunted the academy. One evening, while exploring the basement, Emma discovered a hidden door behind a crumbling wall. It led to a secret chamber filled with strange symbols and ancient artifacts. In the center of the room was a large, ornate mirror, its surface covered in a thick layer of dust. As Emma wiped the dust away, she saw her reflection change. The mirror showed scenes of the past, Lord Ravenwood performing dark rituals, students being sacrificed, and spirits being summoned. The mirror's power was undeniable, and Emma realized that it was a portal to the spirit world. With this knowledge, she sought out the help of Professor Whitaker, the Academy's history teacher and an expert in the occult. Together, they devised a plan to cleanse the Academy of its malevolent spirits. On the night of the full moon, Emma and Professor Whitaker gathered in the secret chamber. They lit candles and arranged the ancient artifacts in a circle around the mirror. The air crackled with energy as they began the ritual, chanting in a forgotten language. As the ritual progressed, the room grew colder, and shadows danced on the walls. The mirror's surface shimmered, and ghostly figures emerged, their faces twisted in agony. Emma felt a surge of fear but stood her ground, determined to see the ritual through. Suddenly, the mirror shattered, and a wave of energy swept through the room. The spirits wailed and vanished, their tormented souls finally released. The Academy fell silent, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. In the days that followed, Ravenwood Academy began to change. The students and staff felt a newfound sense of peace, and the strange occurrences ceased. Emma became a hero among her peers, her bravery and determination celebrated. However, the experience left a lasting impact on her. She continued her studies with a deeper understanding of the supernatural and a commitment to uncovering and preserving the truth. As she walked the halls of Ravenwood, Emma couldn't help but feel a connection to the spirits she had freed. She knew that the Academy's dark history would always be a part of her, but she also knew that she had the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Ravenwood Academy stood as a testament to the power of courage and the enduring quest for knowledge, its haunted past now a legend that would never be forgotten. A decade after graduating from St. Agatha's Academy, Claire Matthews receives a cryptic letter inviting her to a special reunion. Despite her reluctance to revisit the place where her best friend mysteriously disappeared, curiosity compels her to accept. As she drives through the fog-shrouded woods to reach the Academy, old memories and unsettling premonitions resurface. Upon arrival, Claire is greeted by the Academy's caretaker, Mr. Barnes, whose haunted eyes hint at secrets buried within the Academy's walls. The reunion dinner unfolds in the Grand Hall, where faded portraits of past headmasters watch over them. As midnight approaches, whispers among the alumni turn to the legend of the Academy's founder, a reclusive occultist rumored to have made a pact with dark forces. During a midnight tour of the Academy, Claire and a few curious alumni explore forbidden corridors and abandoned classrooms where shadows seem to move of their own accord. A sudden blackout plunges them into darkness, and Claire hears the distant echo of a child's laughter, an impossible sound in the deserted halls. Driven by a sense of foreboding, Claire delves into the Academy's history, uncovering diaries and letters that speak of forbidden rituals and unexplained disappearances spanning decades. She discovers a hidden chamber beneath the chapel, adorned with symbols of ancient cults and filled with relics that radiate malevolent energy. As Claire pieces together the Academy's dark past, she becomes convinced that a malevolent presence haunts the grounds, feeding on fear and despair. Strange occurrences intensify, apparitions in mirrors, disembodied voices, and chilling cold spots that defy rational explanation. The line between reality and nightmare blurs as Claire confronts the entity intent on claiming her soul. Claire forms an uneasy alliance with Mr. Barnes, who reveals his own tragic connection to the Academy's curse. Together, they uncover a series of clues left by past victims, leading them deeper into the Academy's labyrinthine secrets. With each revelation, they draw closer to a confrontation that will determine whether the Academy remains a beacon of learning or a cursed prison for lost souls. On the eve of a lunar eclipse, an event foretold in the Academy's darkest prophecies, Claire and Mr. Barnes confront the entity in a climactic battle of wills and wits. They must decipher cryptic incantations and face their deepest fears to banish the malevolence once and for all. In a race against time, They must unravel the Academy's final mystery before the eclipse plunges the world into eternal darkness. In the aftermath of the confrontation, Claire emerges changed but victorious. The Academy stands silent and empty, its curse broken at last. As she drives away from the haunting grounds, she glances back one last time, wondering if the spirits of St. Agatha's will ever truly rest in peace. Nestled in the heart of Whispering Pines stood an old, abandoned mansion, its walls whispering secrets of a bygone era. For years, the mansion had been the subject of local legends, stories of eerie occurrences and ghostly apparitions that kept the townsfolk at bay. It was said that those who ventured too close never returned the same, if they returned at all. Elara Winters, a seasoned paranormal investigator, was drawn to the mansion by its ominous reputation. She had spent years chasing ghosts, debunking myths, and unearthing the truth behind supernatural phenomena. The Whispering Pines mansion, however, was unlike any other case she had encountered. Determined to uncover its mysteries, Elara packed her equipment and set off for the mansion, undeterred by the chilling tales. As she approached the mansion, the air grew colder, and a thick fog enveloped the grounds. The towering pines that gave the town its name seemed to whisper her arrival, their branches swaying in a rhythm only they understood. Elara felt a shiver run down her spine but steeled herself, reminding herself of the countless investigations she had successfully completed. The mansion's front door creaked open with a push, revealing a grand foyer covered in dust and cobwebs. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating portraits of stern-faced ancestors whose eyes seemed to follow her every move. Elara set up her equipment, placing motion sensors and cameras in strategic locations. She spoke into her recorder, noting her observations and initial feelings about the mansion's atmosphere. Hours passed with no significant activity. Elara began to wonder if the stories were mere fabrications until midnight struck. The temperature plummeted, and a sudden gust of wind slammed the doors shut. The mansion seemed to come alive, the walls echoing with distant, mournful cries. Elara's heart raced as her equipment began to beep frantically, detecting movements all around her. Following the signals, Elara made her way to the grand staircase. As she ascended, she felt an oppressive weight bearing down on her, as if unseen eyes were watching her every step. The air grew thick, making it hard to breathe. She reached the top floor and was drawn to a particular room at the end of the hallway, its door slightly ajar. Inside, the room was freezing, and a thick layer of frost covered the windows. At the center stood an old, ornate mirror, its surface clouded and cracked. Elara's reflection appeared distorted, almost ghostly. As she approached, she noticed faint, ghostly figures moving within the mirror, their faces contorted in agony. A sudden chill gripped her, and a whispering voice filled the room, barely audible but unmistakably real. "Help us," it pleaded, sending a wave of fear through Elara. She steadied herself and spoke aloud, asking who they were and how she could help. The mirror's surface rippled, and a vision of the mansion's past played out before her eyes. She saw a wealthy family, the mansion's original owners, who had been cursed by a vengeful spirit they had wronged. The curse bound their souls to the mansion, trapping them in eternal torment. The spirit, a woman named Isolde, had been wronged by the family and had cursed them with her dying breath. Elara knew she had to break the curse to free the trapped souls. She searched the mansion for any clues about Isolde and found an old diary in the attic. The diary detailed Isolde's tragic love story and her betrayal by the family. Elara realized that the key to breaking the curse lay in finding Isolde's remains and giving her a proper burial. The sun began to rise as Elara dug through the overgrown garden, guided by the clues in the diary. She unearthed a small, ornate box containing Isolde's ashes. With a solemn heart, Elara performed a ritual to honor Isolde, apologizing on behalf of the family and laying her spirit to rest. As the first rays of sunlight pierced through the fog, the mansion seemed to sigh with relief. The oppressive weight lifted, and the ghostly figures within the mirror faded away. Elara felt a profound sense of peace wash over her, knowing she had finally freed the tormented souls. The townsfolk of Whispering Pines never forgot Elara Winters and her bravery. The mansion, once a place of fear, became a symbol of redemption and the power of forgiveness. Elara moved on to her next investigation, but the whispers of Whispering Pines remained with her, a testament to the enduring mystery and magic of the supernatural world.